Wasn't that interesting? I just got a little message recording in progress. So here we are. If you read the invitation, intention of today's practice is to uh, harmonize with the season, the spring that we're experiencing now, when everything here in central Wisconsin, at least, is really lush and green and growing. And we want to tap into our own resources of vitality that allow us to do the same thing. Yeah, so how the heck is that going to happen? Well, we have several methods. One of them I just wanted to mention right away. Breathing can be a very, it can be a very good way. Let me put it that way, without the big words, to enhanced sense of grounding, being connected to the earth. And I like to use my accordion to demonstrate that. Very often what happens in breathing is we go to deep breathe and we just fill the upper part of our chest. Or we get this well-intended instruction from some folks that we should belly breathe, just fill the lower part of your lungs, and that kind of looks like that. But what really happens biomechanically when you breathe is that this part down here, diaphragm, and this part up here, rib cage, when the diaphragm goes down, the rib cage comes up. So the two things happen simultaneously. And that sense of diaphragm dropping down can really enhance the feeling of grounding energy, putting down your roots. Yeah, just like the plants in the soil right now. So let's get started. Let's give it a try. Coming up onto your feet, if you're not already there. And we'll just begin in standing casually, naturally, but bringing a little bit more intention to our feet, beginning with the little toes on both sides. Just letting first pads of the toes rest on the ground, and then pad of the little toe begin to press into the ground. Not that it's clenching or grabbing, it's just moving down, pressing into the ground, and then all the way over to the big toe, pads of the toes, evenly pressing down into the ground. Noticing how that brings a little bit more weight to your forefoot than there is in the heel. And that's fine for now. Let's add a little bit of movement to that. Remember this tilting of the pelvis to bring us into a more upright posture. So right hand goes on your abdomen below your navel, left hand goes behind on your sacrum. And then you're just tipping your pelvis back and forth, all the time maintaining that connection through your feet, through your roots, down to the ground. And then finding middle ground, pelvis neither tipped forward nor back. And then leaving that hand on your lower abdomen, taking thumb and first two fingers, hooking them underneath your collarbones. And let's do this on an inhale. Inhale, diaphragm goes down. Chest lifts up. And then just tipping the back of your skull up towards the ceiling just a bit. Letting your hands release to your sides. Yeah. Feet grounded. Sense that with each inhale, Diaphragm moves down, yes. Rib cage simultaneously moves up, yes. So not chest breathing, not belly breathing, just biomechanically normal breathing is the deepest breathing. Let's add some movement to this. Next time an inhale comes around, when you feel diaphragm moving down, belly filling, lift your arms up. And exhale down. Yeah. So there's a downward movement of the diaphragm. It brings sensation to lower belly. At the same time, simultaneously, rib cage and arms sweep up. And let's lift our heels with that sweep up. Not losing awareness of diaphragm moving down. So there's this downward energy to help support the upward lift. Let's leave heels down and sweep arms up. And we'll do some side bending. Full exhale right here. And then on an inhale, tipping to the right. Exhale, center, tipping to the left. Coming back center. Left and right, couple more times. Light awareness of as you inhale, diaphragm moving down. Grounding through your feet. At the same time, rib cage, arms recharging the lift. In this case, the bend. Last one. And sweeping arms on down. Let's take this right into a half sun salutation. So it's finding your roots first. And then on an inhale, sweeping up. Exhale, folding. Beautiful lift, inhale. All the way upside down. Exhale. Here's the hard part. Diaphragm's going to move down, keeping your feet, your toes grounded as you inhale and come up. Ready for that? Let's exhale first. Grounding as you come up. And arms to the side. Just one more of those. Not so much talking. Inhale, sweep up. Exhale, fold. Beautiful lift, inhale. All the way upside down. Exhale. Now from your roots, your foundation, sweeping all the way up. This time we'll stay down, do a little cat pose, cow pose. So it's diaphragm moving down, arms moving up. Exhale, fold, bit of a lift, inhale. Hands and knees. And we'll do some good old cat pose, cow pose. Yep, trying to make that movement from your pelvis first. Remember, standing up, tipping pelvis backwards and forwards. Same thing right here. On an inhale, tipping your pelvis forward begins to lift torso, neck, and head. And exhale, pelvis tipping the other way, lower back rounding, brings you into the cat pose. Well, this is kind of a slow start. I often wonder, well, what the heck's with that? Why don't we just jump right in? Well, it may have something to do with the fact that a good number of us have a fair amount of miles in the rear view mirror, but that isn't everything. Yeah, just about everybody benefits from a slow warm-up. Over here, let's take hands forward and a bit wider than shoulder width, curling toes under, lifting hips up and back. First dog, no style points awarded, just getting upside down. Couple breaths. Inhale, coming back to hands and knees, and then coming seated. So we did a little bit of awareness with the breathing, especially the inhale, how it brings awareness to lower belly. Doing something here now to bring a little bit more awareness, even tone and strength to not only lower belly, but rectus abdominis, upper abdominis as well. So knees bent, feet fair amount of ways away and toes pointed up towards the ceiling with your hands behind your thighs. Let's just walk our thighs, hands down our thighs to bring us down. And remember that pelvic tilt? It's working right here to bring lower back to the floor first, and then upper back. I'm not going all the way down. Maybe you don't want to either. And coming back up. So just sitting here with toes pointed more or less straight up, might notice that there's little, if anything, going on in your lower belly, maybe a little bit in your upper belly to hold you upright here. Let's do something a little different. Let's see if we can shift that by bringing your heels together and actually pressing heels together. Feel how that activates lower abdominal muscles. So now we got lower abs working. Let's work the upper abs, walking your hands back down your thighs to come down, down, slowly articulating your spine, one segment at a time, all the way down. Heels pressing together. Let's come back up, walking your hands up, bringing yourself up. Yeah. So some of you who have done a lot of Pilates may recognize this foot pattern. We're going to take that into the regular Pilates exercise called the 100. So maybe with your hands behind you will help you to lift those legs to back again a bit. And then you can hold like this. So my heels are still pressing together. You can either hold here, or if you would like a little bit more challenge, that would be bringing your hands up to the side and then pumping your hands. Yeah. So we'll just pump for maybe 10 or 15 seconds here. So with heels together, lower abs working, arms moving, stimulating upper abs as well. Yeah. Bringing awareness, vitality to that core, down into your lower belly. That was more than 15 seconds, wasn't it? Let's take a break here, come into a rest. And then coming onto your side, elbow under shoulder. And you can either do this lifting from your knees, or if you want a little bit more challenge, it would be lifting from your ankles. And on an inhale, let's lift our hips up, 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 and then slowly set them down to the count of 4, 3, 2, 1. Just tap and lift. 1, 2, 3, 4. And just slowly coming down. 4, 3, 2, 1. So last one, and what we're doing here is activating these oblique muscles on this side, in a sense, drawing that energy again more down into your core. If you want to, you can keep your hand on those lower ribs, those lower oblique muscles as you lift. 2, 3, 4. Come back down. 4, 3, 2, 1. Going to the other side. So this time, a little bit less of my talking, and see if you can brush your awareness up against your breathing such that even here on the inhale, diaphragm moves down at the same time simultaneously. Air moves into the upper lungs as well. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 2, 1. Just tapping. 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 2. Just tapping. Last 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 2, 1. All the way down. That's our core work for today. Coming back on the hands and knees. And let's see here. I think I'm going to have to check my notes to be sure I'm headed in the right direction. It looks like I am. So before we come up to standing, though, we just use those oblique muscles. And remember, the triage of muscle activation is activate, strengthen, lengthen. So we did the obliques and the abs, activate, strengthen, here's the lengthen. So with your feet as wide as your mat, fairly wide, then taking your right hand, reaching it behind you, and tipping your knees, sweeping that other arm. Yeah, this is kind of a sweeping twist, a mild twist, yet still bringing a little bit of a lengthening to oblique muscles, abdominal muscles. Coming back on forward, going to the other side. And coming back out. Oh yeah, before we head up, one last thing. Coming standing on your knees. We've done this many times before, but a little bit different intention this time. Hands on your hamstring muscles, and then pushing down through the top of your feet, top of the feet pushing down. Noticing how that activates hamstring muscles and at the same time, lower abdominal muscles. Feeling that sense of connection to the floor, the earth, through the top of your feet and your knees. Top of the feet pressing down just enough to activate lower abdominal muscles and hamstrings. And then letting weight, letting energy, letting gravity flow down the outside of your thighs, from hips to the outside of your knees. There you go. See if that can help deepen that sense of rooting, grounding, stabilizing. And then just coming forward and stepping forward, forward, fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale all the way upside down. Remember this, hard from your roots. Inhale, sweeping up. Arms to the side. Let's take a wide stride and we'll head right for that quality of life pose. So called because it has so many benefits for abdominal muscles and especially pelvic floor muscles. Hands on hips. Remember the very first thing we did when we stood up, pads of the toes just resting on the ground, and then pads of the toes, one at a time pressing into the ground, not gripping, not grasping, just pressing. From little toe all the way over to big toe, feeling how that brings a little bit more weight to forefoot, maybe even now turns on hamstring muscles and lower abdominal muscles. With hands on hips, and I like to put my hands right here, my fingers in that hip crease, so that I can start this movement from right there, my hip crease, softening, deepening it to take my seat behind me and bring me into the squat. Inhale, coming up. So it's softening, deepening, exhale, coming down. Inhale, coming up. Yeah, so remember what the inhale does? This time feeling diaphragm descend as everything else comes up. Coming back down. Bringing hands to heart. Let's increase that tone in pelvic floor by lifting your heels. Heels lifting. And then we'll set those heels down, slow, smooth, steady, to the count of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Contact, light contact in the heels. Let's bring hands back to hips, hip creases, and we'll go side to side. So on an exhale, straightening the left leg, shifting over the right, and then coming back through the center, going the other way. To the extent possible, maintaining that connection with the earth through the pads of your toes, base of the toes, and a little less so through the arch and heel. Pausing next time you're in the middle, and using your inhale, diaphragm moving down to propel you upward. Stepping your feet together. We'll just do some quick chair pose. And that will be starting in the same way we started way back when. Toes moving down. Hip crease softening, deepening. Yep. Everything we've done so far. Working right here. Inhale, arms reaching forward. This time let's pause here for the exhale so that when we inhale to come up, diaphragm moving down, energy moving down, propels you up. Let's try it another time. So hip crease brings you back into the chair pose. Inhale here. Pausing for the exhale, and then the inhale. It's not just rib cage lifting you up, it's diaphragm simultaneously rooting you down to give that energy upward. How about chair twist this time? So it's hips coming back, left hand to right knee. Right hand comes behind, twisting to the right. Yeah. So a lot can be overdone in twists. Twists have a lot of benefits, but there's some risk involved too. You don't want to overdo it. Let's come back center. Inhale, arms forward. Pause for the exhale, and then down equals up. You can go into the other side. Quick twist on this side. Little less talk. Right hand to left knee, left hand comes behind. Bit of an opening. And then on an exhale, coming back forward. Inhale, arms forward. Exhale here, getting ready for that, propelling you up from the diaphragm. Diaphragm down brings you up. All right. Standing with feet about hip width apart and feeling that energy flow from the outside of your hips down across the outside of your knees. There you go, right into the little toe of each foot. Kind of reactivates that sensation we started with. And now shifting your weight into the right leg, lifting that left knee, and we'll swing that leg in and out a few times, rotating knee in and out. And then bringing ankle, heel above ankle, headed for tree pose. Yeah, so toes can either stay kickstanded down, or if you'd like a little bit more challenge, that would be lifting that kickstand off the ground. Perhaps for you, it would even be extending arms up overhead. Not the deepest breathing, but diaphragm still moving down. Helps to ground this pose. Let's transition to the other side. Well, let's not transition to the other side. Let's keep the grounding in that foot we just worked with, that supporting leg, right leg, and then lifting the left leg and taking it straight back behind you. Yeah, so still a fair amount of grounding in that. What was that tree pose supporting leg? And now from the heel of the back foot, back leg, heel lifting, exhale, brings front knee bending. Inhale, coming back up. So it's the back heel lifting that allows the front knee to bend. Next time you're in that forward position, pausing there and lifting the front of your pelvis up just a bit as you descend the back heel down. Inhale, arms straight forward. Pausing here for the exhale, just like in chair pose. Inhale, arms up overhead. Letting each descent of the diaphragm complement upper chest, inflating with the inhale. Hands coming to heart. And now inclining your torso forward, still working with that same tree support leg, pouring your weight into that front leg so that the back foot becomes so light it can suspend before it comes forward. Still not done with this supporting leg. We're going to go right into eagle pose. So same leg that we started with in tree pose, supporting leg, right leg, crossing your left leg over, left over, so left under, left arm under. And this time I will fold with you all so that when we come up to fly out of this eagle pose, we can use our inhale, diaphragm descending, energy flowing down to propel us up. Let's exhale and fold over that front knee. Couple breaths here. getting ready to fly off, but propelling that flight from the descent of your diaphragm, the descent of energy down. So a full deep inhale, down creates up. All right. Remember how we started that sequence on the other side? It was with tree pose, wasn't it? So hands on hips. Weight now pouring into the left leg and just opening and closing, rotating that knee, thigh, and hip. And then bringing heel above ankle. Kickstand it down a bit. Then it's either hands to heart or hands up, maybe even lifting toes off the floor. Just a bit. Even here, using downward energy of the diaphragm to stabilize the posture. Let's come on out, bringing hands down. Now remember, keeping that grounding in that supporting tree leg, taking the other foot back behind you. And then it's from the heel of the back foot, lifting on an exhale. And now it's heel of the back foot descending on an inhale. So something else is descending on the inhale, isn't it? Yeah, diaphragm. So this time around, heel lifts, front knee bends. That was the exhale. Let's get our breathing cycle in sync here so that when a full deep inhale comes around, diaphragm descends, energy flows down. And when you feel that breath in your lower belly, back heel reaching for the floor. Coming forward one more time. And this time lifting front of your pelvis up towards the ceiling. And now on an inhale, diaphragm and back heel descend. Reaching arms forward. And looking up, reaching up. Yeah. First transition again is hands to heart. In that tree support, leg, front leg, left leg. Loading that hip gradually, slowly, like loading the trunk of the tree with more leaves. Weight of the leaves. So you can suspend that back foot just momentarily before it comes up. Not quite done. Same leg supporting leg, front leg. Left leg, right leg crosses over. So it's right over, it's right under. Exhale, folding. Getting ready for the takeoff. Takeoff is energized from the downward flow through the pads of the toes, starting with diaphragm. So an inhale sweeps you up. All right. That was an awful lot about breathing. Breathing and grounding. So one of the slippery slopes, let me put it that way, in yoga practices, we have these awarenesses, grounding and breathing, and we can begin to get a little bit myopic, a little bit focused on those ends, to the exclusion of everything else. And that's really not the purpose of the practice. We want to expand that aperture of awareness and have it be a little more inclusive. Let's take a wide stride. Right toes turn in, left toes turn out. Yeah. So feet are grounded, yes. Toe pads of the toes, all toes on the floor. Yep. And with each inhale, for sure, diaphragm descends. Complementing that awareness, and an exhale, bending your front knee. Inhale, coming back up. Noticing how weight shifts, in addition to feeling grounded. Next time that front knee is bent, pause in there. And then taking this back leg hip and moving it out away from the front thigh, tipping your pelvis, bringing hand this time to shin in front. So left hand on left shin. Yeah. And then taking that free arm, upper arm, up towards the ceiling, up towards the sky. Yeah, feet still grounded. As you begin to straighten that front leg, but straightening it just to the place where you don't lose grounding in the forefoot. And then rather than looking up, turning your head to look down, looking down in front of that right foot, maybe 3 or 4 feet. First transition to come out is turning your gaze back forward and then lowering that upper arm. Front leg stays where it is as it is. As you tip your hips to come up and go to the other side. Left toes turn in, right toes turn out. Exhale, bending. Yeah. Awareness of the inhale. Inhale brings you up. Light awareness of that breathing, how it can accentuate grounding. The next time front knee is bent, pause there. And now it's this other hip, left hip, moving away from the front thigh, brings hand to shin. And then this time, rather than just straightening that front knee, taking the same hip, left hip, out away from the front leg, front foot. Take an arm up towards the ceiling, turning to gaze at the floor. And then looking back forward, bringing that upper arm down. Yeah. See if you can use your inhale, diaphragm descending, to propel your torso back to vertical. Stepping feet together. One more standing pose, and then I think we'll have time to finish everything up. Yeah, I think we'll have time. So how about standing both feet hip width apart, and just once again, awareness of pads of the toes, all 10 toes on the floor, and gripping, just moving into the floor. Pouring your weight into the left leg and stepping back with the right. Coming up straight. We'll do that pyramid pose with the hands behind the back again. So taking your hands behind you, grabbing your dominant hand wrist with the non-dominant hand, and then moving elbows away from each other. And exhale, bending the front knee. And I next exhale, folding forward over that front leg, left leg. Remember how in triangle pose you pulled your hips away from your feet in order to straighten the front leg. Same thing right here. Rather than straightening from the knee, drawing your hips up and back to straighten the front leg just a bit. Still grounded in the toes and the forefoot in both feet. Yeah. Hands lifting, elbows pulling away from each other. Just a breath here. First transition is let's bend that front knee. And the next transition on an inhale, lifting your torso. We'll go to the other side. So not as much time on this side. Changing your grasp behind you. Dominant hand now grabs non-dominant wrist. Stepping back with the other leg. Bending that front knee. And then on an exhale, folding, coming forward. Most of the weight lands in your front foot. That back foot can still be grounded, even though there's not as much weight in it. Pads of the toes, all 10 toes. There you go. Lightly pressing into the floor. And then hips drawing away from, especially the front foot, to bring the front leg straight. Maybe not perfectly straight for me today. And then hands lifting, elbows moving away from each other. On an exhale, let's bend the front knee. And inhale, down, creates up. And stepping feet together. I think we better head for the floor. Half sun salutation to reach the floor. On an inhale, sweeping up. Exhale, folding. Bit of a lift in here. All the way upside down. Exhale. And then just coming first to standing on your knees. So back bend here by way of camel pose, Ustrasana. So kind of like that kneeling mountain we did earlier. Tops of your feet and your shins moving into the floor. Tones, hamstrings, and abdominal muscles. Keeping that stability in your abdomen as you bring fists to your lower back. And then bring hips forward just a bit. So the way to get a harmonious bend in your spine, arch in your spine, is to keep some tone in your lower belly by way of shins and top of the feet moving down. First transition is hands come off your back, and then seat comes back. Then we'll come down to the floor. So headed for forward fold, and then Bandha Konasana, bound angle, and then Janu Sirsasana, combination of those two. So with legs forward, toes pointing towards the ceiling, bringing your hands behind you so that you can get a little bit more length in your torso. Heels moving down into the floor. Exhale, folding, hinging at your hips. Once you've hinged about as far as you can go, a natural stopping point, it's okay to bring your hands forward and just round, looking down. And even here, the inhale, diaphragm descending, brings some sensation to the lower belly, but lower belly is constricted. So more of that breath winds up in your upper chest, right between the shoulder blades, breathing right between the shoulder blades. But remember, there's a simultaneous grounding with that diaphragm moving down. And then rolling on up, bringing your feet together. Soles of the feet together. And how about hands behind you again to bring a little bit more length to your torso. And seeing which is more grounding here, trying to take your knees down to the floor. That's one set of activations. And now releasing that effort and taking knees out of your hip sockets as if the energy again were flowing down the outside of your thighs, the outside of your knees. Give it a try. Yeah. So which way appears to be a little bit more steady, stable, rounded? Knees moving out or knees moving down? Maybe a little different, maybe not different at all. You all have different bodies, what's true in your body today. Let's see if we can end with this, at least this attempt to draw knees out of hip sockets by way of outside of the thighs. All right. Letting that effort go. One leg does forward fold, Paschimottanasana. One leg does Bandha Konasana. Not overthinking it. Let's just hinge forward into that space kind of between the two legs. Not straight over that front leg. You know, that's a common instruction, but for almost everybody, it's a little bit more accessible if you move inside that outstretched front leg. More accessible often translates to a little bit more benefit. Hands can come down that front leg or in front of you. Not so important where hands are either. Inhale, let's use that inhale to ground and lift. Going to the other side. One leg does Paschimottanasana, one leg does Bandha Konasana. The two together equal Janusirsasana. Yeah, haven't used those Sanskrit words in a long time. No, they're sometimes useful. Folding forward and then rounding. Yeah, so no specific instructions here. Knowing the movement patterns, cues for the other two poses we just did, maybe employing some of those right here on your own, what you've already learned. Getting ready to come out by way of a inhale that both grounds through the diaphragm descending and lifts through the rib cage expanding. All right. see here. Time for a couple of twists. Let's start twisting with that kind of loose, free twist where the legs start wide apart. And then the right hand comes behind and the left hand sweeps around and these just tip over. So that legs are kind of in a 90-degree bend. Mild twist. A little bit more of a reach, a stretch involved. And then exhale, let's come on forward. And go to the other side. Left hand comes behind. Right hand swings around. And augmenting that reach rather than moving fingertips out away from you. See if you can push that arm away using your shoulder blade. Shoulder blade wrapping around the ribcage. Forward to move that hand just a little bit farther away. Exhale, let's sweep on forward. So, not so many instructions about breathing there. I think you maybe had enough of those. We'll head for one more twist. And using that breathing knowledge you've already gained, let's straighten out the left leg. Crossing the right leg over. Or right leg can stay on its own side of the outstretched leg. The way to know whether or not that's beneficial for you is when you cross the leg over, does it kind of pinch in your groin? If that's the case, then leg can stay on its own side. If not, let it come on over. And then rather than grabbing, wrapping, pulling on that knee, taking the left hand just to hold it supported a bit. Right hand comes behind. And rather than fingertips pointing away from you, how about fingertips either out to the side or even a little bit forward so that when you come into the turn, the twist, chest stays open. Yeah, not so hard to do on that hand that's behind you. A little harder to do with the hand that's holding the knee. Even that side, there you go. See if you can open that shoulder away from the center line of your body. Remember the attributes of breathing, biomechanics. Exhale, let's come on out and go to the other side. So this hand that holds the knee doesn't really pull all that much on the knee. In fact, if it does, it pulls this shoulder rounded forward. You want to try to keep it as open as possible. So backhand, fingertips either out to the side or even a little bit forward so that when you come into the twist, chest can stay open. Why the heck would we want to do that? Well, we have a particular awareness today, biomechanics of the breathing. It's a little bit easier to let that biomechanics work optimally if shoulders aren't rounded forward. Just in case you forgot. I know you have, but just in case. Full deep inhale, diaphragm moves down, yes, but now there's a bit of an obstacle in its way. Allows the breath to rise a little bit higher in the ribcage. Diaphragm moving down, still a grounding opportunity. No need to overdo it. Let's come on now. Exhale. And just a few minutes left here. And I think rather than spending all of that time in final resting pose, maybe preparing for final resting pose with that hand position, that mudra, apana, A-P-N-A, apana mudra. So if you remember what that is, it's index finger moving into the web of your thumb. And then it's the other two fingers, middle finger and fourth finger, coming over to touch the tip of the thumb, just like that. And this little finger can just hang out. Whatever it does, doesn't have to do anything special. So it's index finger into the web of the thumb, other two fingers touching, and to the extent possible, keeping all of this kind of round. Let's just sit comfortably, or if you prefer, coming onto your back with knees bent, soles of the feet on the floor, apana mudra. Just a minute or so here in silence. And if your eyes are closed, time to open them. And then taking your hands out of that position. So if you're already on your back, staying there for just another 30 seconds or so. Not all that long, and no special instructions. Letting your body integrate all the experiences it has had. And if your eyes just kind of spontaneously closed, first transition would be opening your eyes, perhaps bending your knees if you're straight legs on the floor, and then coming seated. And wait for everyone to come seated, just a moment. And then we'll take a collective inhale. Inhale that biomechanically can also ground you. Exhale, hands to heart. Namaste. Thank you for practicing with me. One thing I just want to say quickly is that next Monday, of course, is Memorial Day. And I know some of you may have some very meaningful ceremonies you want to attend. I'm not trying to negate that, but I will do a practice same time next Monday, and the recording will be available. So do what's in your heart. If those ceremonies are taking place and they're meaningful to you, certainly go ahead and attend those. You can always see the recording later, or you can wait till the next week.